Welcome back to A Time in Refinement. This is your host, Jesse, and I want to hard pivot to something that is a lot harder to talk about and a lot more necessary to cover. And it's something that I wish I would have known a lot sooner. And when I say a lot sooner, I mean I wish this would have been the most important thing I was taught when I was like 8 years old enough to comprehend it, right? So the older you get, the older you get, the more you realize, hopefully, if you get smarter as you get older, as opposed to getting dumber and more arrogant. Um, of course, there's a fine line there, but generally speaking, we want to get wiser as we get older, right? At least I would hope that's what people want to do. Some people don't want to do that, but that's their prerogative. So, what you need to learn as soon as possible, as soon as you can logically comprehend it, is that money is the motivator. Money is it's the great I am, and that's not in a sense to put money in the same place as God, however you want to define God. But really, money is God. It's God for everyone. They just don't want to claim it because it sounds shallow. It sounds, you know, insert adjective, insert descriptor. But you realize pretty quick if you don't have money, you don't have anything. Because the real motivator in this life is utility. You are only valuable insofar as you can provide, insofar as you are a utility to those around you. This is a little bit of a deconstruction of Kafka's Metamorphosis, which I haven't read actually fully, but I have enough of an idea of what it is, which is this idea of this man who was working a job, providing for his family, and I might get some details wrong, so don't correct me, or correct me. Do correct me, actually. Anyway, this man's providing for his family, and he one day he starts becoming a cockroach, which is a metaphor for becoming disabled, and he becomes unable to go to his job because he's a cockroach, and his employer gets mad at him, his family gets mad at him because now they're not providing, or now he's not providing for them. And so he starts to sort of wither away with this new disability because now he's not a utility to people anymore. And the story is heartbreaking. The story is a very dark, real take on what you experience as an individual. That you are only valuable for what you provide, not for who you are. Of course, I do want to deconstruct that idea too a little bit, which is like, well, who are you really if not what you do and what you provide? People like to say we're human beings, not human doings. But what is being? Is being just existing in a space, never moving, never thinking, never emoting? I think not. I think actually what we need to understand is through perseverance, we actually become the utility we are meant to be. And this is not capitalist propaganda. This is not to say that you are only valuable as much as you can provide. But in a way, this is a thing you need to understand, that you are a utility for the machine, for the meat grinder of the universe that sort of churns out burgers, burger workers, right? Like in a literal sense, actually, but also in a metaphorical sense. So you need to understand that as soon as possible. So then what I need to cover, in a sense, really is how important it is to understand what money is and how to navigate your life without having enough money. Sure, you can go the homeless route, and that comes with its own benefits and drawbacks. Homelessness is freedom in one perspective, and it's also destitution from another. But ultimately, to be part of the clock, to be a cog You are a utility. You are a thing that moves in its place in order to make the clock work. And if you want to be in the clock, you have to perform your duties as the cog, which is to be that monetary, emotional, physical utility for the other cogs around you. And you'll find out very quickly as you get, older, that you are not a very beneficial cog, and you'll start to break down the clock if you are not a very valuable utility. And this is really sad in a way. It's really heartbreaking, but it also it's a necessary realization that you have to come to. So the number one piece of advice, which of course I don't like giving advice because the worst kind of advice is advice, but if I were to be giving out advice, it's very simple. As soon as you are able to comprehend this idea, if you are a young man, you need to be figuring out how to make money and how to make as much of it as you possibly can within, reasonable moral standing and all this. Of course, that gets into another video that I don't want to cover here, which is like the whole idea of making money and morality, which again, I'm not going to get into that for this video. But let's just cover the idea that you need to make as much money as you can, as early as you can, because that just basically ensures the quality of your life and the quality of those around you, and your ability to be a human being for the other cogs, and their ability to see you as a cog worthy of love, so to speak. Slight technical difficulties, but anyway, back to it. We're going to just put these together. The idea was that you are a utility. You, as a human is a sort of animated machine that provides utilities to itself, to other people, and that's just what life is. It's neither good nor bad. It's, heartbreaking in a way if you think about it that way, if you think the way Kafka thought in his Metamorphosis story. And it is sort of a very dark, depressing fact of reality, but it's never less true when it comes to applying that in the real life, right? In your real experiences. And we just have to acknowledge that at a certain point. And the sooner we acknowledge that, the sooner we can move on and realize what needs to be done and how it needs to be done. Because there's no way around it. There's no way around living self-sufficiently. You're, really getting off grid and doing all this farmsteading. And, some people do that, and that life it's reasonable for some people, but it isn't feasible for the system, for the machine. And if you want all of these sort of conveniences, if you want hot water at the, press of your fingertips, or I don't even know what I'm saying, but you know what I'm saying, all that stuff. If you want all that, you're relying on the other cogs, which have made that possible for you. So to pretend that you can get away from this, or you can be something else and have a fulfilling life, I just don't see it. We are utilities at the end of the day. Humans are utilities. We do things, for other people. That is the nature of it. It's the cold, hard fact of reality. So yeah, to the point of the video, best kind of advice I wish I would have received so much earlier. Make as much money as early as you can so that you can be a good utility to those around you, because that's what's going to give you love. And I'm going to get people disagreeing with this, I know, but that doesn't make it any less true. Trust me, I've thought about this, and this is just how it is. You are loved for what you can do, for what you can provide, for how good of a utility you are. That's not a bad thing. That's just the fact of nature. That gives us the courage that emboldens us to pick up that torch and to light the cave for those around us. In a way that's noble. It's noble to just admit that, yeah, all we are is just a device for other people. And if we are a very ineffective device, then we won't receive love. Whatever you want to call love, love is another topic itself. So just do the best you can, but understand the most important thing, which is going to be money, which is going to be your value, your utility to those those around you. Never forget that, because that comes before literally everything. And again, a lot of people are going to disagree with this, but it doesn't make it less true. That's just how things are. So stay strong out there and know the cold nature of reality and how it's not as fluffy and frilly and sparkly as you thought when you were a kid. Because when you were a kid, you had all that provided to you, hopefully, if you had a somewhat decent childhood. Of course, if children that didn't have that, that's another topic entirely. But yeah, I was just thinking about this. So I think it's important to share. And I think that a lot of people are in denial about what needs to happen and who you need to become, who you need to be